Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you very, very much for being here. This is one of those pop-up videos. So first of all, thank you very, very much for your patience and understanding as we have been getting Victoria moved into her home. Vanessa and I have been working just like little horses, little Trojan horses, trying to get everything done. There has been obviously more help than just us, but there's been a lot of painting and sanding and you name it. So we're almost there. We're almost there. Before I go any further, last time on Friday, somebody asked a question about, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was sort of like, is E. Jean Carroll going to own one of Trump buildings? No, that wasn't the question. The question was, is Miss Carroll going to? And I looked at it and I read the question and went, I don't have a clue who Miss Carroll is. I just don't know. And then, the next day I'm going through my comments and there's all these like comments that say E. Jean Carroll, some of them in Shettyland or so less. And I'm like, why are these people just putting her name down in my comment section until I came across one comment, and whoever you are that left it, thank you, who said, I think the Miss Carroll was probably E. Jean Carroll. And then it went, oh, boing. So that just goes to tell you how much I'm convinced drywall dust I had in my brain that I couldn't put those two things together. So I have my pendulum. Let's just quick ask the question. So is E. Jean Carroll, in terms of her $90 million settlement, is she going to end up with one of the Trump buildings? Okay, no. So let me sort of explain that a bit. I mean, unless she kind of might end up with, I don't know, maybe a piece of Mar-a-Lago. But a lot of the buildings that have the Trump name on them, they're not owned by Trump, right? They're using his brand because at some point, I guess they felt that the brand was prestigious. It was a good name to have on a building. I'm not sure that is still accurate. And the payment out of a judgment like that is cash. So sell whatever you have and hand over the cash. That's kind of how that's going to work. Now, why did I pop on today? I haven't been paying a lot of attention this week because I've been sort of preoccupied. But the energy is something's going on with the energy. I mean, I think part of it is that Trump has become, I don't know, manic almost. Now he's talking about bloodbaths and if he's not elected, it's going to be a bloodbath, the likes of which no one's ever seen before. He is becoming more and more a little bit disassociated, I think, from the here and now reality, and more panicky as things kind of move forward. I think that whoever that guy, Navarro, who ended up going to prison, I think yesterday he reported him. So, I think these things are shaking him. Now, the other side of it is that he is getting delays granted all over Kingdom Come, right? I mean, the Bragg one, that got bounced for 30 days. So I guess that's somewhere around April 25th. Cannon is still piskadiddling around with whatever she's doing. So that's not going anywhere fast. You have the Tish James thing that has settled, and that's done. Apparently now he can't get the money to put up the bond, which is like $500 million. So that's almost more concerning than anything, because one wonders where that money may end up mysteriously coming from. He has until the 25th, which is like Monday, right? So he has time yet for money to magically appear to satisfy that bond so that he can appeal. The money has been put up for the E. Jean Carroll. He's going to try to appeal that. the Georgia, the January 6th thing is just ridiculous what's going on. I mean, first of all, there was the attack on Bonnie Wills that had nothing to do with anything, although I do remember saying right when this started that Wade, would end up leaving the team simply because it was going to be what needed to happen to calm things down. So that has happened. But now they're appealing the fact that, like Trump's team is appealing the fact that she's still on the case. And so that's dragging it out. And so everywhere we look, there are brakes being slammed on a lot of these legal cases, but except Trump seems to be becoming more unhinged, to be polite. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to just touch in spirit and see if they can give us some clarity, some insight. Perhaps they can give us some reassuring words, because this is becoming, concerning, right? I mean, things are moving forward, time is going by, and it looks like this Trump strategy is it's getting him where he wants to go. Now, the good news, of course, is that Biden and Trump are either neck and neck in the polls, or Biden is slightly ahead of Trump. And that's going to continue on. We know that there is going to continue to be momentum being built in Biden's camp and momentum being lost in the Trump camp. But let's just see what Spirit has to say, okay? Let's just ask Spirit. Can you give us any guidance or insight, clarity, understanding on the energies that are currently in play in the United States around Donald Trump, around the election, around lawsuits, legal maneuvering? As you are aware, there is significant energy shifting that is going on for a lot of reasons, the least of which is not the eclipses that are very soon going to be arriving. Their impacts can already be felt and will continue to be felt well into around the middle of April. And some of those impacts are going to go on for weeks and weeks, even perhaps months after that. There is a shifting. It is like the ground underneath feet is just shifting a little bit right now. And there is a feeling of imbalance, almost as if people are not able to get their balance. So how this is impacting is that you see a lot of sort of in the legal sphere, there's decisions that are being made that are not well grounded, not really even well founded in some cases in law. We direct your attention to Texas and the immigration policies. The states do not have kind of a say over immigration like that. It is a federal mandate, but yet somehow or another, Texas seems to be, eroding away at that and trying to get, state policies to supersede federal ones. There is, you've got Eileen Cannon asking for hypothetical juror instructions. This would be her job, those jury instructions, as a judge. She's supposed to make them up. However, you have McAfee opening the doors for a appeal on the decision he made with regards to Fonnie Wills staying on as a prosecutor on the January 6th case. Everywhere you look, there is this sort of shifting energy. Breathe deep, take a breath, and trust that things are unfolding as they need to for the highest possible results, the greatest possible good to be arrived at and achieved. Understand there is balance that is trying to be achieved. There is justice that is trying to be achieved. Do not mix this up with vengeance. Do not mix this up with annihilation. This does not mean in any way that those participants around the events of January 6th, and in fact Trump individually, are not going to end up being held accountable. But it is important that energetically the vibrations stay high. The highest vibration that can be achieved when it comes to any sort of intention is that the greatest good be done. Okay? That is the phraseology you're looking for. You have been told many, many times that Joe Biden is the man for this time. And he is. And that hasn't changed. He continues to be protected. And you can see very slowly as his campaign starts to build, the messages are getting out, the polls are starting to shift and change. Generally speaking, the energy around him is becoming lighter and brighter. For Trump, it is not really even so much other people's energy wishing him ill or good. It is his own internal energies that are taking him to this place of fear and anxiety and panic, anger and rage. He is at a place now where he will say whatever he thinks is going to get him past the moment he is in. He has a few very specific points at any rally or gathering that he wants to make, but beyond that, he is just sort of, it's like sort of free consciousness. He just opens his mouth, and whatever comes out of his mouth is what comes out of his mouth. There isn't a lot of thought or planning that goes behind that. In fact, because in part, his energies are so scattered these days that it's very hard to get for anybody around him to actually get him to focus in and retain, talking points or anything like that. But understand that this rambling that he does, the words are barely out of his mouth before he even knows that he said them. And so people reacting and getting wound up about a phrase or a statement is feeding into the energy that surrounds him. And we've already learned that energy is energy. It's not good or bad. It just is simply energy. And the more of this that goes on around him, the more it feeds him. And the more powerful those energies become. So be mindful as you go forward in the next few months. Sorry about that. In the next few weeks and months, there's going to continue to be this sort of feeling of everything is in flux. Things that felt sure or stable are sort of all of a sudden not going to feel all that sure and stable. It is so important that the reaction to this is not panic. That the reaction to this is that we embrace the changes that are coming because we understand that they are light filled and they take the country to its highest good. You have been warned and warned and warned. We have talked about the changes that are coming, the shifts that are coming. That doesn't happen without movement. And it is the very movement that can make people feel as if things have started to spiral out of control, when in fact, they have started to move towards the intended result or manifestation. On a more sort of point by point, practical level, this is what we would like you to be mindful of as the weeks and months unfold. Joe Biden's popularity is going to continue to increase. The House is going to continue to be viewed as children in a sandbox who are fighting over toys. They're going to get very, very little done. Speaker of the House is in a very tenuous position. It does not feel as if he is long for that position. He has problems coming. Whether they're political or personal, but there are things that are going to come up. Sort of it feels like a surprise attack from the back. So something's coming to bite him in the butt. You will see that the Democrats are going to continue to be a very, very strong united front. There are internal squabbles going back and forth, but they are very mindful of the fact that the more of a solid wall that they present, frankly, the worse Republicans look. So that is going to continue. There is going to be talk about certain Senate races being, a worry, strong, or, racist places where there have been Democrat senators in place for a significant period of time. But in what are known as red states, there's going to be talk about whether or not those seats are safe. Those seats are safe. Let it, don't get wrapped up in the chatter of it all. Understand that wherever you are getting your news from, their goal is to keep you tuned in. And how do they do that? But by constantly making you feel that there's new stuff happening and you have to pay more attention and you have to be very focused. And one of the ways they do that is by saying things that spike up your anxiety levels. Be careful of that. There's going to be more really disinformation coming out. And it's clever. And it's going to take a while to be sort of caught, corrected, recognized. But by then, it sort of doesn't matter because the damage has been done. you all know this just from living in the world that you live in. The story, the headline is what sticks in the mind. It is not the retraction or the correction 3 days later on page 52 that anybody sees or recognizes. That's how come, even when it's wrong, if it is said with enough force, it simply becomes fact. And then, there's this mad rush to try to correct the record, but the correction is never anywhere near as powerful as the initial statement. So be very mindful of what you are absorbing and don't overreact to everything that feels as if it's sort of bad news for your side. You can anticipate that there is going to be a lot more, even more than there already is, emphasis on the Supreme Court and the decisions that they're making and the judgments and the rulings, because they are becoming more and more to the right. In some ways, much like the Republican politicians have started saying the quiet stuff out loud, so too is the Supreme Court saying the quiet stuff out loud. And there is going to continue to be pushback and blowback from some of the decisions that are being handed down. And again, breathe through this, because there needs to be that much of a shakeup to usher in the energy and the momentum to create significant change within the Supreme Court and its makeup. The Supreme Court is most likely to expand in 25-26. And while we acknowledge the power and the force of individual free will at this point, it still looks like there are going to be some changes within the Supreme Court in 2024, your current year, as a result of benches or a bench or two being vacated. There's going to continue to be increased focus on the depletion of life force, energy, and focus around Donald Trump. It is his own rage, his own anger, his own panic, and his own fear that are amplifying any health conditions or concerns, be they mental, emotional, or physical. And you will continue to see Joe Biden trending up, becoming stronger, not only in terms of polls, but in terms of energy, in terms of positive attention coming his way, in terms of his words getting out there. There's still a lot of time, generally speaking, in the United States. The vast majority of people do not focus on the election until September. It's a long way to go before September. What you do now is what you can do to make sure that you are going to be able to vote, that you stay mindful of what your representatives are doing. But do not become so immersed that you lose focus or become overly upset or worried or anxious. Stand in your power, stand in your light, and let that radiate out. And know that your light is positive. And know that your light is loving and kind. Know that your light carries compassion, support. And know that your light, simply by virtue of being light, diminishes the dark. It's not fight. It is simply that the power of light can do nothing but diminish the dark. But do not forget that there are circumstances in which the dark can extinguish the light. Choose your side and stay there and be focused and be sure and know that you are here right now in this lifetime, in this experience, listening to these words because those were choices and decisions you made in creating your soul print, that you were going to be a part of this current significant energy shift, not only in the United States, but around your planet. There is nothing to be afraid of, and there is much to be confident of and joyful of. Hold strong and know that every step you take takes you farther into the light. You're already in it. Allow yourself to continue to move deeper and deeper into that powerful, powerful energy. Thank you. All right. So that's what I know right now. That's what Spirit knows right now. I hope that that is helpful. If you have any questions, please attach them to the comment section below. I'm snickering, of course, because, hopefully I'll be clever enough when I'm reading the questions to actually know who all the players are. And I'm going to do my absolute level best to make sure that there is a Pendulum Friday this week. Thank you very, very, very much for being here. I look forward to seeing you next week when things are going to be back on track. Sometimes, have you ever had that experience where you've been on a holiday or a vacation and all you can think is, God, I would love to get back to work so I can get some rest? That's where I am. So I look forward to things kind of reverting back to normalcy, if you will, next week. God willing and the creek don't rise. I'll see you on Friday. Take care now. Bye-bye.